Is the US going to collapse like Rome? Could a new world power take over in its place? You've probably heard people compare the current state of the US to the decline of the Roman Empire before. It's a topic that pops up now and then, especially when discussing political or societal turmoil. Both empires suffered from political corruption, divided, almost tribal people, and shoddy leadership. Yet it's still hard to imagine a world where the US isn't the top power. But is that time coming? Let's see if we can figure out what's unfolding in the land of the free. Poor leadership. Let's talk about leadership, or rather the lack thereof. It's no secret that the US has seen its fair share of leadership woes. Leaders are meant to unite, make sound decisions, and guide the nation forward. However, sometimes it feels like personal interests are taking the front seat, leaving national interests on the back burner. We've seen examples where decisions made at the top levels seem to prioritize personal or partisan gains over the collective good. This not only affects governance but trickles down to the people, affecting national unity as well. When the populace sees leaders embroiled in controversies or failing to address the nation's pressing issues adequately, it creates a ripple effect. People begin to lose trust, not only in the individuals in power, but in the system as a whole. It's not just about making the right calls on policies, but also about being a figure that can rally the nation together, especially during tough times. A divided society isn't something that happens overnight. It's a slow process, often exacerbated by leadership that seems to deepen the fissures rather than bridge them. Now it's easy to point fingers and lay all the blame on the leaders, but it's also about the system that puts them in power. And once they are there, how much are they held accountable? Leadership reflects a nation's political health, and when that leadership seems to falter, it raises questions, concerns, and a whole lot of discussions, just like the one we're having now. The scenario demands a closer look at the kind of leadership the US needs to navigate through the challenges it faces. What do you think? Is the leadership doing enough to uphold the values and principles that are supposed to bind the nation together? Political corruption. Moving on to a topic that's often in the headlines, political corruption. It's something that can rattle the foundations of trust between the citizens and those in power. Let's talk about some recent instances that made us raise our eyebrows. We've seen cases of politicians involved in insider trading, misusing their position to gain financially. There have been allegations of bribery, where hefty sums change hands to sway decisions in favor of the highest bidder. And let's not forget those uncomfortable ties between politicians and controversial figures. All these instances point to a problem that's hard to ignore. When political corruption seeps into the system, it's not just about a single dishonest act. It's about a ripple effect that touches every corner of governance. Each scandal that comes to light chips away at the public trust, and over time, this erosion of trust can become a gaping chasm. It breeds cynicism, and citizens start doubting the very system that's supposed to represent them. It's concerning when the ones elected to uphold the law and work for the people's interest are the ones caught bending the rules. And when accountability seems to be a rare commodity, the concerns only get worse. The heart of the issue is transparency and accountability. Without these, every allegation, every scandal, pushes the public further away from having faith in the political system. It's a tough nut to crack, but it's essential to address if the aim is to restore trust and ensure that the governing bodies are working in the best interest of the people. Political corruption isn't a new theme, but it's a persistent one, and tackling it requires a collective acknowledgement of the problem and a robust system of checks and balances. So how do we steer the conversation towards solutions? And how do we ensure those in power remain accountable? Divided government and country. Now let's shift gears and talk about the division we see, both in the government and across the country. It's hard to miss the stark political division, especially when it leads to gridlock in government. Bills get stalled, discussions turn into debates, and debates turn into disputes. It seems like reaching a common ground is becoming a massive task. This division hampers the smooth functioning of government and sows seeds of discord among the populace. When the narrative becomes us versus them, the collective goal of moving the nation forward gets blurred. And political violence, that's a dangerous road. It's a blatant sign that civil discourse is breaking down. It's alarming and demands attention because no nation can thrive amidst internal hostility. So the division is real, and its effects are far-reaching. The question is, how do we navigate through this? How do we create an environment where differing opinions lead to constructive discussions rather than discord? It's a tall order, but one that requires immediate attention if we aim to foster unity and effective governance in the face of adversity. Economic turmoil. Economic turmoil. Let's talk dollars and cents now, or rather the economic hurdles that are currently on the U.S. horizon. Economic stability is like the backbone of a nation. If it's strong, the country stands tall. If it's shaky, well, things tend to wobble. Now the U.S. is facing its set of economic challenges. For instance, the national debt keeps climbing, reaching figures that are hard to wrap our heads around. Then there's the trade imbalance, which isn't exactly painting a rosy picture either. And let's not overlook the widening wealth gap, a topic that's often in the spotlight, reflecting a growing disparity in society. These economic issues aren't just numbers on a chart. They have real-world implications. When the economy's shaky, everyone feels it. It hits your wallet, affects job markets, and casts a long shadow on future prospects. An unstable economy can lead to uncertainty and anxiety among the populace, which isn't a good brew for national unity or societal contentment. It's not just about weathering the current economic storms, but about building a sustainable economic framework. One that's resilient, inclusive, and capable of withstanding the test of time. Sustainability should be the keyword when talking about economic growth. It's about creating opportunities, reducing disparities, and ensuring that the economy is on solid ground, not just for the present, but for the future as well. Economic challenges are part of the national discourse, and addressing them requires a holistic approach. It's about taking the long view, planning, and implementing policies that not only stimulate growth, but ensure that the growth benefits everyone, not just a select few. So the task at hand is to tackle these economic challenges head-on, with sustainability at the core. What steps do you think should be at the forefront to steer the economy towards a more stable and sustainable path? Systemic issues. All right, now onto something that's a bit broad but crucial: systemic issues. These are the kind of challenges that lurk within the very systems meant to keep the country running smoothly. And when there are hitches in the system, the ripple effects are felt far and wide. Take, for instance, the healthcare system. The pandemic really put it to the test, and the cracks showed. Remember the struggle with vaccine distribution initially? That was a systemic hiccup. Or think about the infrastructure: roads, bridges, public transport. When these are in disrepair, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a reflection of systemic neglect. And education, the disparity in educational resources and opportunities across different regions is a systemic issue that has a lasting impact on communities. It's about more than just fixing a few potholes or updating school textbooks. It's about addressing the underlying issues that lead to these problems in the first place. Robust systems are like the unseen gears that keep the country moving forward. They ensure that essential services are delivered efficiently, that resources are allocated fairly, and that the basic needs of the populace are met. When systems work well, they create a foundation of stability upon which a nation can thrive. But when they falter, the consequences aren't just inconvenient, they can be detrimental. It undermines public trust and can lead to a cycle of neglect and deterioration. So, the emphasis should be on strengthening these systems, making them more resilient, more equitable, and more responsive to the needs of the people. It's a hefty task, but one that's essential for the long-term well-being and prosperity of the nation. Ensuring that the systems in place are robust and effective is a solid step towards a more stable and promising future. What are your thoughts on bolstering the systemic framework to better handle the challenges that come our way? Societal comparisons. Now, let's venture into the societal landscape of the U.S. Society is like a mirror reflecting the various facets of a nation, and lately, it seems like the reflection is showing some cracks. One glaring issue is racial inequality. Protests and movements in recent years have highlighted the deep-seated issues that still exist. It's a conversation that's long overdue and is finally gaining the momentum it deserves. Then there's the debate around immigration. It's a hot topic that often stirs the pot, bringing to the surface differing opinions on what it means to be an American and who gets to claim that identity. And we can't overlook the economic disparities that play out in everyday lives. The gap between the haves and the have-nots seems to be widening, and that's a concern. When the playing field is uneven, it creates a breeding ground for discontent and social unrest. These societal challenges are like threads, intertwining and impacting national unity and stability. When society is fractured, finding a common ground becomes a tough endeavor. The societal fabric is intricate, and addressing the challenges within requires a nuanced approach. It's about fostering dialogue, understanding different perspectives, and working towards solutions that aim at creating a more harmonious society. It's clear that societal challenges have a significant impact on national unity and stability. The road to addressing these issues might be long, but it's a journey worth embarking on if the goal is to create a more inclusive and united nation. The way forward. Now that we've laid out the challenges, let's pivot towards solutions. It's about rolling up our sleeves and working towards a better tomorrow. First off, political integrity needs a boost. Transparent practices, accountability checks, and perhaps some electoral reforms could go a long way. When trust in political systems is restored, that's a big win. These should be the buzzword. Policies aimed at reducing the wealth gap, encouraging local entrepreneurship, and investing in sustainable industries could help stabilize the economy. Now, about those systemic issues, investing in infrastructure, education, and healthcare is key. Robust systems are built on solid foundations, and these sectors are a good starting point. Also, embracing technological advancements can help streamline operations and make public services more efficient. Lastly, strong leadership coupled with active citizen engagement can drive change. Leaders who prioritize national interests and citizens who hold them accountable make a formidable team for positive change. It's a collaborative effort, a collective stride towards a resilient nation. The challenges are hefty, no doubt, but with a united front, the journey towards solutions becomes a shared responsibility. Now, it's your turn to join this discussion. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Are there other areas you think deserve attention? Don't hesitate to hit the like button if you found this discussion valuable and share it with your network. In fact, use the like button on this video if you're concerned about where this country is going. Smash it if you think things need to change. And remember, subscribing to this channel keeps you updated on more insightful explorations. Together, let's keep this conversation going and work towards creating a better understanding of the road that lies ahead.